Hi, money magicians. How are you? Oh, I've been trying to do this video all day. It's been so crazy. My Wi-Fi wouldn't connect. So when I thought I was going to do it, it was in the morning, and then the Wi-Fi went out, wouldn't connect to the laptop at all. My laptop's had like Wi-Fi connection issues since Bali, and now my glasses are reflecting. So yeah, I'm preparing to sleep. So because it's already late, right? So Wi-Fi went off, and then I had, oh, sorry, oh, sorry, my phone. Um, I'm just gonna let them know that, like, please don't call me. I'm kind of busy. Um, wow. Okay, like I'm like the worst person to do these videos sometimes. I'm feeling really, really bad because I'm like texting busy and and then I'm also talking to you guys. Okay, so focus, focus. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, the Wi-Fi went off. Kind of funny. I was talking about how I've had a battle doing this video, but the Wi-Fi in the morning went off, then wouldn't connect with my laptop. Then I had to spend like 2 hours looking for a SIM card for my phone so I can hotspot it. In fact, I'm using my phone as a hotspot. And of course, I don't speak Vietnamese. So that was like such an interesting thing. So I would usually take probably like 15 minutes when you get to a store, get it done, figure out how much data bundles you've got, all that. Took about 2 hours of like deep back and forth of, do you have a SIM? Where can I get a SIM? And then two guys, I ended up at a hostel because everyone was just referring me to some shops. So Vietnam is very interesting. I keep asking, where can I get a SIM? And people just point. They just go, there. They literally say there in English. And I'm just like, but where? There's like a row of shops. And I just go to every random shop and everyone goes, there. So like an hour later, I finally found a SIM card. Then I got, only because I got to the hostel, and these two young guys, Vietnamese guys, were like, oh, you're looking for a SIM, not a problem. They hopped on a scooter, were like, just wait. And I got water and everything. And they hopped on a scooter and went looking for a SIM card for me because nobody could figure out where the SIM card was. There was a lot of back and forth at the restaurant, the hostel restaurant, because I was like, I figured that a hostel or a hotel or something that's more about traveling would know where to get a SIM because they probably deal with cell phone connection issues across international places all the time, right? So that's how I ended up doing this class today. That's so crazy because these two young Vietnamese guys decided to leave me in a restaurant, hop on a scooter, go looking for a SIM card, come back, and then tell me how much it cost, which was actually the true cost of the SIM card. And then we spent another 30 minutes trying to figure out how much data bundles I had and the whole data bundles thing. And then they sent me to some of their friends, which were these women at another store. And then they had to cell phone company. It was just, yeah, it was really, really interesting. They called the, I guess like Mobifone or whatever. So yeah, I have so much appreciation sometimes for just when things happen with ease. This was actually with ease because I didn't do much of anything. I kind of asked people to help me and they just kind of took it upon themselves to help me. So anyway, back to the beggar archetype. Okay, so this has raised so much conversation in the student group. It's been crazy. And obviously, also in this group, there's been a lot of conversation and chat around it, and also just around being in survival mode. So, quick recap if you're joining, you don't know who I am. My name is Vangile Makokwa. I'm the founder of Wealthy Money. I teach women and mainly women entrepreneurs to clear the ancestral stories around money so they can live their best lives. So this week we've been talking about being in survival mode and operating from the beggar archetype, which for most of us is often the shadow aspects of this archetype. So if you're wondering what an archetype is, so an archetype is basically a symbol or a bit, yeah, I think that's the best way to explain it. I don't know how often I explain this, and I still don't know how to explain it. But it's basically a symbol that we have within our society. So a good example would be if I say mother or child or dog, we all have an idea of what a mother should behave like, what a father behaves like, what a child behaves like. We have these ideas, right? And we have an idea of what in any country, when I'm in Vietnam, if I'm in South Africa, when I'm in Thailand or Bali, everyone, when someone says mother, we all have an idea of what a mother does. We have it in our psyche, right? So but the thing is that we have so many of these different symbols and different aspects of humanity and how we operate, right? Because in one area of your life, you can be a mother. In another area, you can be a wife. In another area, you can be a friend. In another area, you can be totally slaying it, be a slay queen. We now have an archetype of slay queens, right? And in another area, you could just be like, not making it work. So all these things are archetypes. We're not one person, like we're not just one-sided as humans, right? So it's not like we're just one thing. You can be a mother and a teacher and a finance person and. You can be so many things in this world, and we often are. But the challenge is what we tap into, which of those symbols we tap into in certain aspects of our lives and in certain areas of our lives. So maybe when we're in the mother role, we're tapping into an archetype of being a queen, right? Like that we're royalty. We know we rule our kids like it's a kingdom. So if you're one of those moms and you're on top of things, awesome. So some mothers could be, when they're in the mother role, they're acting from the tyrant space. So they very much like, this is my way or the highway. Fathers can also be like that. So just noticing that in various areas of our lives, we're tapping into various aspects of ourselves. And all these things are not unique to us. They very much part of human history. So archetypes are also part of a collective consciousness. So we tap into them. So this week I wanted to explore, because in the Heart, Mind, Money course that I run, I've been exploring archetypes and shadows with the students around money so that they get to meet their archetypes, they get to meet all the various shadows, and also start to understand that it's not about negating the shadow. So if I'm saying I operate most often from the beggar archetype in my finances, then my job isn't to stop being the beggar and to like beat it out of me, right? It's about healing the beggar archetype and working with it and loving it and making it part of you, because they're actually every single archetype, even the most awesome archetypes that we think, oh my God, that's amazing. Even say the healer archetype. So that would be an archetype that I also operate from, right? You don't just operate from one archetype. You can operate, like I said, you can operate from multiple archetypes. So the healer archetype is one archetype that I operate from, right? So healer archetypes aren't always good. Every archetype has a good and a bad side, right? So everything has a good and a bad side. The beggar archetype also has a good side and a bad side. So the bad side, we often say, I don't even want to say the bad side, but I would like to say the side that we don't like. Yes. So the dark side, the side that we don't like, is actually a shadow side, because this is the side that we often try to keep hidden from the rest of the world, and we're often ashamed to show the rest of the world, right? So and we always want to show the good sides. The problem is, if you're only showing the good side to the world, then you're not actually embracing everything that you are, right? And that's a big thing. So for us to truly heal and truly show up fully, we have to embrace everything, because the minute that we start to hide the things that we don't like, from the in how we operate, especially around money, we start to make those things kind of grow bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And then it becomes harder and harder to contain them, and they fester, and eventually that's where we get like skeletons in the closet and all sorts of crazy things. So it's the same with money. So let's talk about the beggar archetype. Actually, believe it or not, I really do like this archetype, and I'm going to talk about why it's got the shadow, the side we don't like, and the side that most of us want to share, which is the golden shadow, or what I call the golden shadow. I got that from Bernie. I forgot I forgot his surname, but like, I remember he's done a live class for us on shadows and EFT tapping. In fact, if you go on YouTube and you type in and you go to youtube.com/wealthy money one, and you type in shadows, you'll be able to find the interview that I did with Bernie. He goes really deep on shadows. It's his thing, and he explains it really well. So anyway, back to the topic at hand. When we're operating from beggar shadow, we all know what a beggar is, right? We see beggars on the street. They're the people that are begging for money, and sometimes begging for clothes or just food or something like that. And most of us will often try to avoid the beggars altogether, right? Or we run away from them, or we don't want to deal with them. But actually, most of us operate from the beggar shadow, maybe not in the most extreme way in terms of like being on the streets begging, but we're begging in various aspects of our lives. We're tapping into the beggar shadow because we don't really see, just like beggars don't are in lack, but the difference is that we can see they lack something, and the way that they dress, etc. We also experience lack, and sometimes it's just a feeling of being in lack, that we don't have enough. We never have enough, right? So it could be financially, how we experience the beggar is that we feel that no matter how much money you have in your account, you just never feel like you have enough money, you know? It's like you panic. So, and this is the one thing that I keep saying, is that it's not even about the money in your account, right? You've got people that can feel like, they're people who can feel abundant with literally $100 or 100 Rand in their bank account, and be like, oh, I'm so abundant. Everything I need comes to me. I don't have to worry. They live in faith day by day. They take the actions. They're not scared of making a big leap or taking big risks in their business. Even when they have just that 100 Rand, $100, they can take big risks and show up in a big way in terms of their business, go into business meeting, business deals, and come out on the other end totally different. Then you've got people that can have literally 100,000 Rand or $100,000 in their bank account and are scared. You know, they are absolutely in lack. It doesn't feel like enough. They're scared of losing it. They don't want to spend the money at all. They don't want to take a risk. They can't literally take a risk. So there's a lot of that, of feeling like, oh my God, I just never have enough. I'm in lack. So that's also an aspect of just feeling like you're still in survival mode and behaving as such, right? Again, it's that whole thing that you've got, how many entrepreneurs do we know that go from zero to hero? They'll be talking about, I had like 50 Rand or $50 in my bank account. Then I just was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And within a space of a few years, I turned this entire situation around. And then you've got people that still have the 6 figures in the bank account, in their savings, and they just like, oh, I don't have, right? I don't have enough. I cannot afford to lose this. So just being aware of that is critical, because this is why I say it's never about the money. So, and this is critical when it comes to the beggar shadow, is that I'm not talking about you being poor or having no money, but it's so more about how you're feeling about that situation, right? So that's what activates the beggar shadow in our lives. So you can have that, but the one thing that makes us beggars, that keeps us operating in terms of the beggar shadow, is that we feel that we need to beg others for our own existence, that for us to live, we cannot separate from other people. So in terms of finances, we'll sometimes stick in toxic job situations, stick with toxic bosses, put up with clients we don't like, clients that don't appreciate us, right? We won't show up authentically in our businesses. We'll basically try to placate people because we're basically in beggar mode. We're begging people. We'll find ourselves often literally begging clients to pay, right? So when we're operating from the beggar shadow, we're often finding ourselves in terms of begging. And it's really, really hard for us to just show up as ourselves and be completely believe in our own independence and our own magic, right? And then when there's also such a thing as spiritual lack, right? And spiritual begging. And I don't even know, like I went back and forth. Should I touch on this? Shouldn't I? Am I going to anger people, etc.? But I'm just going to say it because you guys are already used to me, right? But often like we'll even beg when we come into prayer, right? We'll be coming into prayer and we feel that we need to first, I say in my head, like, we can't just come forth in prayer and just say God or universe or source or Allah, whoever you believe in, right? That's not the problem. We show up the same regardless of who we believe in or what we believe in. And we'll first state our case, right? And then ask. So most of us feel really uncomfortable just coming into prayer and going, hey, universe, God, source, this is what I need. I am enough as I am. This is what I would like. Thank you and cheers. We often feel like we need to basically prime up our case and then basically lower ourselves, make ourselves unworthy or feel unworthy, and remind the divine that we are unworthy and therefore we receive. So how we also show up spiritually in how do we believe that we deserve the things that we are asking for and the things that we want is also huge. So we can be in beggar mode there. And it could also be another way that we show up spiritually in our beggar shadow is we also feel absolutely unsupported by the divine. So there's this gaping hole where we feel all alone and there's absolutely no support. Even when we believe and we have faith, we still feel like we will be dropped by the divine. So this is, I discuss this a lot in the Money Magic course because I have a whole term for it and I have a whole lesson around this. It really goes deep. So I'm not even going to talk about the term because I'm not really willing to go too deep on this in the group, because once I sat on that in the Money Magic group, in the student group, it goes insane. We go so deep on it. And then emotionally, we're also sometimes operating from the beggar shadow in our relationship space and in anything relating to our emotional lives, so to speak, which is often our relationships. When we find ourselves begging for attention, right, is that, oh my God, I feel there's a lack of attention, where we find ourselves begging for love, begging for attention. We know how we do that, right? Some of us do it by giving, over giving, which is funny because that is the opposite. It would look like the opposite of the beggar, because you're generous, you're not begging. But in reality, you know that you're giving because you're asking for attention. You're saying, I'm giving you something material, you give me love. So that's still in beggar mode, because you're not showing up as, I am enough as I am. I don't have to beg for attention. I don't have to beg for love. I am love, right? Love comes to me, all that. So just being aware of how we operate from beggar mode, when we're in beggar mode. So, like I said, this is not a bad thing. This is not about now going into beggar mode and like looking at your beggar archetype and going, oh my God, that is so me. I have to eradicate that. Understand that most of us are tapping into these archetypes to different at varying degrees, right? So someone may be operating from the beggar archetype primarily. Some of us may be operating from the beggar archetype once in a while, right? When we're triggered by something, and some people may just operate maybe just like once in a blue moon, right? So just understanding that we all have aspects of this, and that it's not about not operating from that, but actually healing the beggar archetype. Because often when we're operating from the, should I say, the beggar shadow, the shadow aspect of the beggar, when we're operating from the beggar shadow, it's often in terms of that we don't believe we are enough. We don't believe. So financially, it's when we believe that there isn't enough, and that we are not held by the divine. We're not held by the universe. That's the big difference. And also, like, we don't trust ourselves, right? We don't trust ourselves in a big way. That's why someone can go with $100, launch something, get on a plane, travel, etc. It's that faith factor in yourself, in the divine, all that, and just that belief that there will always be enough. And then you can have someone with 6 figures, great savings, etc., and they can't hop on a plane, and they know that that money could last for 5 years, but they still can't believe that they could just do that for a month and take that risk. So again, it's about the faith. So it's about cultivating faith in yourself, but more than that, it's about healing the beggar archetype. It's about going in and really doing work with the actual shadow itself, really integrating it into your psyche so that it becomes part of your overall psyche and it's acknowledged. Because the more that you try to fight it and the more that you try to pretend it's not there, the more it will show up as a shadow, and in the worst ways, right? It will become very extreme. And what then is financially, we go into survival mode, because that's when we truly believe in total lack. We believe there's never enough. We can't take risks. We procrastinate. We keep ourselves in survival mode because we're not willing to acknowledge this shadow aspect. And what most of us then do is we go, oh, I need to affirm this away, right? That feeling, that panic that comes over us when we feel that we are about to go into lack, we start going, I have money, I have money. And the beggar archetype, the subconscious part of ourselves that's operating from that is going, no, I don't have money. And no, I don't believe I'm wealthy. Is she or he not listening to me? And that's when the subconscious goes berserk, because it's trying to get your attention. So the shadow aspects of the beggar archetype shine even more brightly. It goes berserk, because that's when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm affirming, I'm doing everything, I'm visualizing, I'm pretending I don't feel the panic, I'm forcing myself to feel gratitude, and things are getting worse. Well, they're getting worse because your subconscious is saying, I want you to listen to me. I want you to heal me. So we do a lot of that in the Money Magic course, where we work with the archetype, we work with the shadow, and we work on embracing the shadow through guided meditations. And beyond that, there's also a lot of inner child belief. There's also a lot of childhood and teenage beliefs that back up the things that we feel, that back up the existence of this archetype, right? We don't just come to have the beggar archetype and to operate from this shadow aspect, right? It's that we have concrete proof, so to speak, from memories of our past, where we have seen that indeed lack is a real thing, that there isn't enough money, where we have seen that it's really hard to make money, that it's almost impossible to save money. We have concrete proof. And so we need to heal the inner child, which is why in the Money Magic course, we have so many different inner child meditations, healing the mother wound, just healing the ancestral bloodline, because there's just so much there that keeps us in this mode. So often you'll find that our shadows that we operate from are not too different from our families, like from family members and their shadows. So you'll find that, oh, your mom's a martyr, your mom is operating from the inner critic shadow, and you have the same shadow. That's because that's how your inner child was parented, right? So you have to reparent the inner child. And this is a huge part of the work that we do, because this is where the amazing shifts come from. It's about healing that at a deeper level and connecting with it. And again, not trying to pretend it's not happening, because that is actually causing more damage than good, believe it or not, right? So when you pretend that you're not feeling the panic, you pretend you don't feel the anxiety around the money, you pretend you're not feeling lack, you pretend you're not super scared of taking the big risk, that is problematic, because that is not healing. That's pretending that something isn't existing, and the subconscious is going to keep trying to make you pay attention so that it can heal, right? Because ultimately your soul is just trying to heal and understand and process. And I think literally as I go through this journey, I start to understand that's really our true jobs. It's just, that's what we're here to do. Anyway, so the good, so I've told you guys about the healing, the origins of the archetype and all that. So let's talk about the great aspects of this archetype, of the beggar archetype. So the beggar archetype is actually, I think, I believe one of the most powerful archetypes. This is just me, right? My opinion. I don't know what other spiritual teachers believe, that I believe it can be one of the most powerful archetypes when it comes to changing, when it comes to humanitarian work and changing like humanity's destiny in a way. Because most people that are beggars are ones that come into the nonprofit space, ones that, because they understand the notion of being the beggar in certain aspects of their lives, they can then transcend that. When it's the golden shadow, the good side, they can use those very same characteristics to go forth and ask for money from people, basically beg, right? Fundraising, donations, all that, beg people to do good for humanity. And also when they're on the other side, because they've experienced what it's like to beg for money, they are the most likely people that are then the ones giving to charity, doing all this philanthropy work, because they have that empathy and that compassion that comes from this. That's why I'm saying you don't want to completely just be beating up on this archetype and be like, oh my God, I'm the beggar archetype. I can't stand it. It's because that archetype once healed. Imagine the beggar that now goes on to make millions, right? Heals this archetype, is able to work with it. They're the ones that can understand most. They are more likely to have empathy of what it's like to be homeless, to not have anything on this, to not have any money. And they're the most likely to understand how it's not because people are lazy that they end up on the street, but that there are a series of things, and some of them very much generational and systematic, with that lead people into situations of poverty, right? And poverty in a way that they can't get out of it. So they're the least likely to shame people, but to have empathy and compassion. And I think this is why I'm saying, like, this archetype is so powerful, because once it's healed and heals financially, I don't know if I would say the most of all the archetypes, because I don't know all the archetypes, but I think it has a huge potential for generosity and to help others, because you've been there. So it's the same as someone who, when we see our friends, when we've been in a place of begging for love, begging for attention, and we see someone we love doing the same, we know exactly how to heal them, because we can resonate with that pain, right? And we're like, no, you don't have to do that. And we will probably be the least judgmental because we've been there. So that's the power of the beggar archetype. Okay, so that's it for this week's lesson. And yeah, I think from all this, you can check out, if you haven't yet read the post that I posted in the Money Magic group, in the Money Magicians group, please read from Monday and yesterday, where we talk about the beggar archetype and being in survival mode. Otherwise, let me know in the comment section your thoughts, your insights. Where are you on this? What are you thinking? I've definitely operated from the beggar archetype for a long time. There was a time when I thought, like, the only way that I could get to go in my life was if a man supported me, right? So I needed to be nice and loved by a man, and that was the only way that I was going to be able to reach my dreams. And I really, really needed to heal that, because that kept me in dependency mode and begging for love, begging for attention, which in my books was like, if I'm loved, if I get attention, then the person will also support me financially, etc., etc. But I since learned that it's not another person's duty to support me emotionally, financially, in any way, right? Every person is going through their own life in the best way that they could. But I only figured that out once I healed the beggar archetype. And then I was able to truly go out and really start to make my dreams a reality. Because before then, I would hang on in relation. Okay, maybe my exes don't remember it as hanging on, but by my standards, it was hanging on, right? Because they still think that it was like I was very independent. But for me, it felt, I knew emotionally, I had this deep fear of, oh, what if they leave me? Oh my God, that true dependency. So there was a lot of begging going on, and I needed to heal that. And with healing that, like, so much other stuff also healed. So yeah, let me know if any of this is resonating. What are your thoughts? Where are you? If you have any more questions, what you want me to expand on. Okay, so have a wonderful evening. I don't know what time it is in South Africa, but it's for me, it's 10:48. So yeah, I'm about to go to bed. I'm heading to a place called Hue tomorrow, Hue City, for about 7 days. I feel like I need total more silence and to write. So I've booked into an artist, I don't know, it's an artist hotel for like 7 days. So I'll be working from there. Don't worry, I'll show you guys the paintings. Apparently this place has paintings and sculptures and everything. So I'll be surrounded by creatives for a while. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it will inspire me to do all the work that I need to do and finish the next book. Have a fantastic weekend. Cheers.